Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Abby Ewing. She's one of the most successful family law attorneys in the great state of Texas. Her story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, there are many different practices in law, and I think one of my favorite practices is family law, because if you really think about the job of the family law attorney, they're part therapist, part attorney. Abby Ewing is in the studio. I met her some 17 years ago, and she hasn't changed, so I need her moisturizer. She is with Estes Thorne Ewing and Payne. Abby, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the introduction.
All right, when did you know you wanted to go into family law?
It's a little bit like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I had to try other practice areas before I knew what practice area was right for me. So I started as an appellate lawyer, actually.
Oh, wow.
I realized that I needed to see people more and be kind of in the middle of things more.
Yes.
Then I was a commercial lawyer for about 4 or 5 years. And then I decided that I would help a family lawyer out on a case. I had no intention of becoming a family lawyer. And I so enjoyed that experience that I decided I was going to change my practice and just switch gears and focus really on family law. And that was about 17 years ago when I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, I mentioned off the top of the show that you're part therapist because you're dealing with the most personal decision anybody can make.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. It's probably half, 50%. We are really helping people through the most difficult time in their lives and helping them in a lot of respects grieve a loss of a relationship. And so it takes a lot of empathy and listening and hand-holding, and you really need to be comfortable with that to be, I think, an effective family lawyer.
We're going to pull up the bio page off your website because you've received many, many accolades, including D Magazine Best Lawyer, Texas Best Lawyer. What does that feel like to consistently get named one of the best lawyers in Texas?
It's great. I am privileged to have those honors. I think I've worked very hard, and to be recognized for that work by peers is a wonderful thing. I'm not from Texas, and so it did take me a while to kind of, establish myself, establish my brand, and so it's exciting to see that pay off. It feels good.
All right, what's one of your favorite success stories from your long legal career?
The one that first comes to mind is I had a case. I was representing a man who was sued by his ex-girlfriend who was alleging informal marriage. And the situation was there absolutely was no marriage. His first inclination was to try and settle the case. I don't think most people want to go to trial. But the facts of his case were just so strong and it was so wrong what was happening that I convinced him not to settle, which is not something I normally do. It's really the client's decision, but I really encouraged him not to settle and to go to trial. And so we took the case to a jury. We had a 3-day jury trial. And the jury came back in 45 minutes with a unanimous jury verdict in his favor. So that really felt good, and he was happy.
I can only imagine. And when you take on that kind of responsibility, I can only imagine the pressure that you must have felt to to be able to say at the end of the day that we made the right decision?
It was probably the most pressure I've felt. Just, knowing that I had really encouraged him to go to trial, and I wanted to deliver on that. And so it was a lot of responsibility. But it's also, the higher the stake, sometimes the more
Yes.
responsibility, the better the feeling. And it felt great. So
And there's a lot of family law attorneys who have like rarely seen rarely seen a courtroom. So there's two kinds of lawyers in family law, right?
yeah.
And the ability to know that you can take this to a court if you needed to.
I think you're right. I think that most family attorneys decide they kind of want to be collaborative or, stay out of the courtroom, or they really want to be in the courtroom most of the time. I really have intentionally tried to be both and to have both skills, because I think it makes me a better lawyer. If I'm trying to settle or negotiate a case, it helps that the other side knows I'm not afraid to go
Yes.
to court. And if I'm somebody who goes to court a lot, people and I have good results in court, people are more inclined to settle.
Mm.
So I think it's helpful to have both skills.
I love that. And you become familiar with some of the judges, so they know if Abby's on the case, I really have to listen.
I hope. I hope that's what they think. It is nice to have some familiarity with the judges, because our job is to be able to tell the clients, this is what I think will happen if we go to court. And so that is going to inform whether we should settle, and kind of the strategy behind the case. And if you don't know what this judge would likely do, then it's difficult to make that assessment.
I can only imagine it's almost like 3D chess, because you have to not just know how the chess moves are going to work, you're going to have to know what the other side would do. It's a very complicated process, isn't it?
It's true. And every case is different, but it also helps to know the opposing counsel, what their kind of style is, their strategy. So yes, kind of all of the pieces and how they fit together. And also just what is best for this particular case based on the experiences you've had, the knowledge that you have of the law, but also the players.
Yes. And you work with a very prominent law firm. I want to give you a chance to brag about your colleagues. We're gonna pull up the Dream Team page off your website. You don't have to name all of them, but tell us about the quality of attorneys that you guys are attracting.
Well, yeah, that's such a great picture. Or photos of everybody. I think the main thing is that we all like each other, and we all want to practice law at a very high level. Most of us came from big law firms, and we decided that we wanted to have more control over our brand, the clients we chose to take, and so that's kind of what drew us together, and kind of keeps us working together. But we really do like each other. And so when I look at those pictures, that's what I'm thinking is, we are really fond of each other, and we're a very collaborative group. And I think we all do excellent work. And that's very important to us, the quality
Absolutely.
of our work.
Tell us about some of the practice areas.
Sure. So we have commercial litigation, family law, and employment. And so I would say the majority of our attorneys are focused on commercial litigation, and then family law is probably our second biggest group, and then we have employment. But we all do litigation. We're all going to court or arbitration or mediation, and none of us are doing transactional.
And I imagine that the different practice areas complement each other, because if you're in a big lawsuit, that can affect your family and your relationships. I mean, do you guys complement each other in that way?
I think so. Now, I have always looked to practice family law, with other, commercial litigators in a firm that has commercial litigators. I think they do complement each other, because it's all litigation at the end of the day.
Yes.
And I think, there are things about commercial litigation that really have helped me as a family lawyer. And so they do complement each other. And, we have cross referrals. There are, of course, plenty of people who are going through a divorce who have a business, and that business might have litigation that, my commercial partners can help with. And so that's also helpful to keep it all in the house.
I love it. Okay, we have about 2 or 3 minutes left, so I want you to look into the camera on the left and talk to that person who may want to visit with you. And what does the onboarding process look like? Do you have an exploratory meeting?
Sure. I think, well, first thing I would say is it's important to meet with, I think, with lots of attorneys and find that right fit for you. From if somebody is meeting with me, then they can contact Elizabeth Olvera, my assistant. She will basically ask some questions, make sure that, it's an appropriate fit just in terms of timing, jurisdiction. And then there's a consultation fee that's paid. I will sit down with that person, or we can do it virtually, and really just come to know that person and the facts of their case and figure out, if this looks like it's a good fit for each of us. And if we decide that we want to move forward, then there's an engagement letter, and that process is pretty easy. Paperwork, there's a retainer, and all of that. But it's a very, I think, easy process. And my goal is always just to listen, give my very candid advice about a case based on what I'm hearing, and make sure that that person's getting all of their questions answered so that they have a very clear understanding of the kind of lawyer I would be for them.
Well, I can certainly see why you're so successful. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us. We're going to end with the website, which is estesthorne.com. The great Abby Ewing, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.